Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 324, The Spiritual Disease of Doubt, Part 4, The Downfall of Those Who Lose Their Trust. The podcast objectives are analyze how quickly fear works against us, reveal the best strategy for combating fear, and reveal what happens when we lose our trust. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. How quickly fear works against you. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 45 of our exposition of lawlessness. In the most recent podcast, we reviewed the story of Peter miraculously walking on the water, recorded in Matthew 14:22 through 32. Now, there are many key takeaways concerning this passage of scripture, specifically the interval in which Peter walks on the water to go to Yahushua, Messiah. Here is the first point I would have you consider. When Yahushua, Messiah, commanded Peter to come to him as he stood on the waters, Peter trusted him. In that moment, Peter believed he could walk on water for one simple reason. Yahushua, Messiah, said he could do it. And because of his faith in the Master, Peter came down out of the boat and walked on the water to go to Yahushua. And although the scriptures do not say that Peter had his eyes on the Master, it is implied, for he could not have walked to Yahushua if he was not first focused on Yahushua. Now, this brings us to our next key takeaway. That is, Peter didn't make it to the Master. He was on his way and doing just fine. But then he began to sink. And he was sinking so quickly, he began to fear for his life, which is why he cried out to Yahushua, saying, Master, save me. Here lies the inflection, the question of the hour, and the heart of this lesson on fear and distrust. Namely, why did Peter begin to sink? It is for the following reason, which I will offer as an interest point. Peter began to sink because he shifted his focus from Yahushua, Messiah, i.e., the object of his trust, to the boisterous winds and the waves, i.e., the objects of his fears. Here lies the problem, vis-a-vis, when you begin to fear, you automatically migrate onto a path of distrust, and you will descend as far and as fast as your measures of fear will carry you. This is why fear is so dangerous. It's because fear has the power to cause you to change your perspective and your reality without providing you with the benefit of careful thought. That's how quickly fear acts against you. Consider Peter. Consider how quickly he went from walking on the water to sinking. Consider how quickly He went from believing he could walk on water to doubting. Now, here's the question. Did Peter have a moment or two to consider the situation and to reaffirm his belief in the master and his ability to walk on water? The answer, no, he didn't. And you won't either when you find yourself in the similar situation. My dear friends, that's how quickly fear will work against you. That's how irrational fear will make you. That's how fear can cause you to withdraw from the author and the finisher of your faith, causing you to sink faster than you could have ever imagined. As long as we are focused on the master. Now, these things being what they are, the question we must now chiefly entertain is sure. How do you stop the process of fear before it starts? Seeing as this is the only way you can avoid the irrational behavior that comes after. The answer is sure, and it is found in our interest passage, i.e., Matthew 14, 22 through 32. Vis-a-vis, we should consider how Peter was able to walk on the water in the first place. As the scriptures tell, Peter's eyes were fixed on Yahushua, Messiah. His focus was on him. And as he was focused on the master, he was able to walk on the water. Then something happened. Something caused Peter to change his focus. To wit, he saw how the wind was strong and boisterous, and the waves began to pick up. And it was exactly then that he began to sink. Now, this speaks to the power of focus and how our focus has the power to prevent us from falling quarry to fear. It also reveals a critical facet about fear and how the enemy has designed this weapon to work against us. Consider this. One of the primary purposes of fear is to cause us to change our focus. Vis-a-vis, fear incites us to focus on the giants and the obstacles in our path. In doing so, we are fatally giving our power to the enemy, allowing him to overcome us. For as we shift our focus from the master, we separate ourselves from his love. If we lose our trust. Now, Romans 8, 35 through 39 is revealing. Who shall separate us from the love of the Messiah? Shall pressure or distress or persecution or scarcity of food or nakedness or danger or sword? But in all this, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor messengers, nor principalities, nor powers, neither the present nor the future, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of Elohim, which is in Messiah Yahushua, our master. Now, the power in this passage lies in the fact that it concedes that we will have pressures, distress, and persecutions, i.e., the many forms of tests and trials. And yet, it also confirms that we are more than conquerors in all these things. But wait, there's a catch. Vis-a-vis, we are only conquerors through him who loved us. In effect, we must keep our eyes on him. We must stay focused on him. We must stay strong in him. and the power of his might. If we do, we won't fall prey to fear when we see the giants and the obstacles for two primary reasons. One, we are expecting them. And two, we know where our salvation lies. To wit, we know the only way to overcome all things is to stay focused on the Master and always trust in him. Remember, every step we take on the path to perfection carries a measure of faith, and the center of our faith is trust. Ergo, we cannot afford to lose it, for if we lose our trust, we will eventually lose everything. Now, here is the final word. The choice is clear of fear and trust. To validate, Elohim is with us. The key, as you have learned, is watching out for fear. Remember, fear has the unique ability to catch even the most ardent believers off guard. And thus, I offer this prayer for all the children of Elohim, to those who are near and to those who are far. When strong temptations frighten my heart or lure my feet aside, O Elohim, thy powerful aid impart, my guardian and my guide. Still keep me in thy heavenly way and bid the tempter flee, and never let me go astray from happiness and thee. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on the word you have heard today. And as always, ask the Father to reveal the truth to you. For the children of Elohim live by conviction. And if he has not convicted you, or if you had not heard him concerning these matters, you should pray until you do. Today, I want you to meditate on all the things you fear in your life. It doesn't have to be something which causes you to be full of fear. It just has to have some measure of fear. If you identified anything, I want you to ask yourself if the thing you fear is the Father's will. And if it is the Father's will, then I encourage you to pray and ask the Father to increase your trust, always remembering his will is our good, and he knows the plans he has for us. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 324, The Spiritual Disease of Doubt, Part 4. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 325, The Spiritual Disease of Doubt, Part 5. I will post this podcast on Friday, August 16th, 2024. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.